Right, time to show you the control. The machine's on, as you can hear the fans running on the spindle motor and the chiller unit at the back. So you turn the control on, power that up. It takes about 30 seconds, something like that, 20 seconds to power up. Now, like I mentioned before, this is an absolute system, so we've no need to own the machine. There's no home switches actually on the machine, so it's ready to go now. The control. If I push one of these keys, it'll take us into the system. When I push this key, if you're somewhere down there, and you'll see the DROs, they'll change as it reads the encoders. I think there's a message that says updating or reading encoders or something like that. So here we go. There you see it, the encoder's changed, it's read the position. So now it knows where it is. Like I say, I don't have to home it, it knows exactly where it is. We do have an home position. We can tell it to go to the 0, so that's the 0 position of the encoders. So on there we've got return. So we'll push return. It asks you which axis you want to move. If you push 0, enter 0, then it will do all the axes at the same time. So if I do that now, the Z will go first. And that's it. Now that's the absolute position, 0 position. Bear with me while this compressor stops. Yeah, that's off now. Yeah, that's the absolute 0 position of the encoders. We can actually set that anywhere we want within the parameters of using in the parameter that's in the control. So we will just jog it to wherever we want, and then we'll say, right, we want that to be the 0 position. We've just chose to plonk it roughly in the middle for no reasons, just happened to be there. That's where we decided to leave it. So yeah, and that's it. So we don't have to home it, don't have to mess around. We don't have any limit switches on this machine. So it always knows where it is. We've got soft limits, so if I jog it now, I can jog it around using the keys on the keyboard. If I just push a key like there, if I push Z there, negative, you'll see the Z's coming down slowly. If I want to rapid, I have to hold the rapid key and then push the other key. So I want to rapid it. Back up. The banging you're hearing is the wake covers as they're coming up and down, hitting the bottom. It's quite nippy. It's 15 meters a minute. Rapids. The X is quite noisy with the wake covers. Nice and smooth. This machine's got 24 tool changer, so I'll do a tool change now and show you. It's very simple. We've had no issues with the tool change side. It was a bit of a concern, but didn't need to be. So change a tool. I need to put it into G43 first, so I've got the offsets. So G43, tool 24 I'll go for. H24 for the height offset. MD8, push cycle start. You'll see it lift up, it'll orientate the spindle to the right position. There you go. That's it. That's a tool changer. It's an air. The in and out of the tool, the carousel, is a pneumatic cylinder, and the rotation is the electric motor, like I said in the other video. We can't change the speed of the carousel rotation. That's fixed. I can change the speed it comes in and out. I can change the speed it lifts up and down and things like that. But we're happy with the speed. We're not chasing seconds. We're more than enough for what we do. Right, so that's that side of it. Back to the control. It's been very straightforward retrofit, to be honest. The control's great. This is the main screen where you tend to work, which is the work screen. There's various different screens, like if we want to see the relative coordinates, we'll go to relative. We want to see all the systems, so we've got relative, machine, we've got work. We're in G54 at the minute, which it shows us there, G54, and that's the work offset. And then we've got distance to go. Obviously we've no programming there as such, so we've got this screen which is showing us the program. This will cycle through the code. The code that's in there at the minute, it's those parts that's on that fixture there. So and the screen tells us everything we need to know. There's a few other, like you've got your MDI screen. I can cancel, come out of that. You've got a tool screen. Well, that'll just ask me to put a new tool in if I want a tool. Your set coordinates, that's for setting your 0 point for your work coordinates. So if I push that now, it'll ask me the axis that I want to set. If I choose the axis, then you'll type in the offset that you want to put in. So you type 0 if you want it to be 0. So I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to escape out of that. That one is for inputting your work offsets. Again, I'm not going to do that. I don't need to. Well, mostly you're working this screen, and that's showing us as work. You get a brief few lines of code. If your code starts going down, you see the lines that it's just about to operate. That's the top of the code, and it'll go down them. Then you've got your positions. But this side is where all your information is. So we're G54 offset. We've got a progress bar. It moves along the bar as it's working through the code. It tells you the program name. So that's 15mm parts up to. You've got your feed rate, your true feed rate that it's running at. Then you've got some codes, your M codes telling you what's in effect. So right, we've got MO5 at the minute because the spindle's not running. I don't really want to start the spindle because I've got the IMA gauge in it, so if I was to start the spindle, that would go to an M3, M9 because the coolant's turned off. M41 is high range for the gear on the spindle. M10, I can't remember what M10 is. I think that's for the augers, chip augers, something like that. But anyway, that's that. And then you've got your rapid overrides, so we can override the rapids. So down on the keyboard there we've got rapid override, and if I override it, you'll see that change up and down. So if you want to test the program out, you can put it in 5% rapids if you're a bit unsure of what's going to happen. You can't go more than 100%, you can only go up to 100%. Now on the feed we're at 1500. That's the program feed rate, and we're at 100% on the override. Now we can go positive on that, so we can override up to 150%, 100% right down. And again, between the feed rate override and the rapid override, you'll use them for testing your program when you first running your code if you're unsure. Below that you've got the spindle. That's the program spindle speed 6000. Again, the spindle speed's at 100%, so and this overrides the spindle. Right, if I turn that right down now, it's down at 5%. If I start the spindle, it'll spin, but it's only at 5%. Back to 100%. There you've got your machine coordinates, X, Y, Z and A. We don't use A. We've got a bit of other information there, so you've got the part time. That part will take 18 seconds at whatever it's doing. We've got part numbers, so we've done 113 of that part. That's how many we've done of that. You've got spindle RPMs. If the spindle was spinning, it would show the RPM the spindle's running at there. Up there you've got SPO51. What that's doing there, that's showing the spindle position for one rotation, so 360 degrees. So if I orientate the spindle now, ready for the tool change, which I can do by pushing this K1 button, you'll see it'll rotate it, and that's put this in the right position to put that tool away. Now I know that position is 159 degrees, and you'll see on there it's changed to 159 degrees. Right, you saw it spin up then because I spun the spindle up. If I rotate the spindle manually, you will see that that number change as I'm turning the spindle. Basically what it's doing, it's counting the encoder on the spindle. So we can actually rotate that spindle to any position within 360 degrees. And that's how we get it in the right place for changing the tool. So that's the main screen where we work. And then you've got all the screens up there where you've got all the parameters. There's literally hundreds of parameters. There's parameters, they're user parameters that we can change, and there's more if I scroll up and down. There's parameters that relate to the speed, axis, the tools, other bits and bats for like running the coolant for the lube system and things like that. You can program in there the timing. Basically this uses a PLC. There's a PLC behind all this, so we can set the PLC so it turns on and off, and these relate to the coordinate system. So this is where we will tell it in here where we want it to go when we tell it to go home, or if we wanted it to move to a certain position. Like when we change tools, we want it to come to a pre-stage, so in there we'll tell it to come to that point and stop, and then it'll go on to the right position for changing the tool. And that's where they're all done in there. Then you've got other things like program. That's where you would bring in your programs. I forgot what the memory capacity is on this, but we've got quite a few tools. Like we've got tools stored in there like 15mm op1, op2. These are parts we've done for people, various bits. We've got a warm-up routine for the spindle. They're all stored. They're not on that stick. They're in the memory. We just bring them in and out as we need them. And then you've got this redeem. It's a bit odd in how they name things. Redeem. It actually means tool table. So that's his tool table. There's always offsets, height offsets for each tool. And then you've got, again, you can set the radius, the length, and various different choices. I'm not going to mess around with them. And then you've got manual and auto. So at the moment we're in manual, and it says manual control at the top there. If I wanted to run this program, I'd put it into auto. So at the minute I cannot run that program. If I push cycle start, it's not going to run. If I want to run the program, I put it into auto, and when I push cycle start, it will run that program. I'm going to keep it in manual because I'm jogging it around. And speaking of jog, we can jog around using the pendant. And again, you're just using the keys. We wanted to put it into a hand wheel mode. we click on handwheel mode, and then we can use this to control it. The buttons on this thing, these are the buttons for jogging it around. These are your overrides. Then you can cycle start from here if you want, feed hold. This is a graphic display. We push that, it will change the display to a graphic. Right, it won't, because we're not running the program. Before running the program, we push that button and we get a graphic display showing you the toolpath. If I'm honest, it's rubbish, so we never use it. We've got handwheel mode. We can simulate the program. We can put it into step mode. This is where we can turn the auto lube on and off for the ways if we want. Off. You got off is air. We don't have it programmed in at the minute, but we will do. We can, like I said, that's step mode. We can single block it, so we can go through each line, one line at a time. The diagnosis will put up a screen showing us the PLC side of it. These are all, this is the PLC inputs and outputs. Right, this is the inputs, and if I want to see, I can page up and down. We've got outputs, inputs. Really powerful PLC system. You can alter it and edit it. We've made a few alterations to suit our needs in the PLC, but not too much. Back down here, you got coolant. We can rotate the carousel manually using these buttons. Stop the spindle, start the spindle, clockwise, anti-clockwise. We can jog the spindle if we wanted to, just using that. It'll jog backwards and forwards, a few rotations. That's to release the tool we don't use it, but you'd use that if you wanted to manually release the tool. We've not set it up because I think it's dangerous. That's ohming. Basically, if you wanted to bring it to the ohm position, so if I click on that now, ask me if I want to, which axis I want to ohm. I'll just say x-axis, push enter, and you'll see the x-axis go back to its 0 point. And these buttons there, that's the feed rate, overrides up and down. You can do it on the buttons or you can do it on that thing. That's the rapid overrides, you can only do it there. And that's the spindle overrides, which you can do there or using that. Cycle start, feed hold. And then this is kind of like a feed hold where you can hold it. Like there it says feed hold flashing. If I turn it again, it's feed hold FS. If you notice it says F. If I do it again, it says FS. What that does, if I put it there, it will feed hold the machine but leave the spindle on. If I do that, it'll feed hold the machine and turn the spindle off. So, and that's just running in normal mode. So, and that's it. I won't get too deep behind the scenes. If anybody wants to know anything deeper into the control, as in the PLC side of it, or parameters, anything like that, then get in touch. But it's very deep. I don't really want to go into it because it's a lot to take in, and if you haven't got one of these things, it'll mean nothing to you. So, right, that's it. Anybody got any questions, just ask. Cheers.